Well, greetings and salutations, and welcome back for tonight's upload. Like I stated in the earlier upload, Paranormal Side will be on hiatus for the evening. Tonight I have a subscriber interview, and this interview is very important to me. This subscriber has been with this channel for 2.5+ years. He is a friend of the channel. He is a friend of mine, even though we have not met in person. He has been on this channel and interviewed. I've narrated his encounters, but tonight he is going to share stuff with us that he has not been able to share ever. And it gives me a sense of pride to have a platform where he can share. Before we get into that, a couple links. As you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, and my merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. The links to Patreon and PayPal are in the description below. My merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters Volume 1, 2, and 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeffrey Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, the links to which are also in the description as well. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time, and our friend has waited far too long to share this. So let's get on with this, shall we? Like I stated, tonight's upload is important to me, and it gives me a sense of pride to have a platform for our friend to be able to share this. It involves Dogman encounters, government involvement, religious cults, and more. I hope this video will inspire and encourage some of you. Alright guys, tonight I have a special guest. He is been on the channel a while ago. I actually shared his encounter when I went alphabetically state by state just recently. I wanted to have him on to kind of refresh his Dogman encounters, but also talk a little bit more about some other stuff that he was involved in. We kind of touched basis on it a little bit before, but we'll get into this. Bo, how are you?
I'm doing good, Jeff. I appreciate you letting me on and listen to me.
Listen, it's always a pleasure having you on. Since day one when I first narrated your Hutch Mountain one, I was like, dude, this is crazy. And then when I read your grandfather's one, I was like, oh my God. But then when me and you talked, there was a lot more to who you are and what you've gone through. So if you don't mind, maybe just kind of refresh everybody on the two encounters, and then we'll get into what I really had John for, if that's all right.
Yeah, that sounds great.
All right.
So we're based out in Arizona, and we used to go camping to a place called Hutch Mountain. And so we were driving in there, and my dad has a truck, and he has like a light on there that's a spotlight, and it's really powerful. And it's literally a spotlight. And we were driving there, we would turn off the lights, and my dad would let us use the spotlight to look for animals. And I shined the spotlight, because I saw a pair of red glowing eyes, and I thought it was a deer because, I had seen the reflection of animals crossing deer and elk and things like that. And when I shined it into where the red eyes were, I got a shock of my life, because there is this creature there that looks like a dog or a wolf, and it was standing upright like a person. And I, froze for a second because I didn't know how to register what it was. And then I started screaming for my dad to look at it, because I was so, in shock and excited. And then my dad, he stopped the truck, because I'm acting crazy. And it just basically it was shocked that the light hit it. Like, I think that the light stunned the animal or the creature, and then it just walked back in the forest after a second or two, and then you just couldn't see it, and we didn't see it. And I was like, my heart was racing because, I didn't know what a Dogman was, and I even heard of that term until recently.
Right.
But I thought it was a werewolf. Okay.
And the truck you were in was
saw
big.
a werewolf.
The truck that you were in is not just like a regular truck. It was a jacked up
No,
truck.
no. It's a huge lifted truck. Yeah, that's something like. I mean, it's a huge lifted truck. I mean, it's massively lifted. I actually sent Jeff images, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really high off the ground. It's a huge truck. So, I mean, this thing, it was like, at eye level, and it would at minimum would have been at least 6 to 7 feet tall, at least, at minimum. And we're talking about the minimal. And I don't know if it was standing completely upright, or I just know it was standing up. And yeah, it was crazy big. And then, so that happens, and then the camping trip, a couple days into it, I'm sitting at the campfire, and then everyone's getting ready for bed, and then I get this like really bizarre feeling something's watching me. And I turn around, and there's a huge creature standing behind me. Just massive, giant, furry, massive creature. And I don't know what it is. In my mind, I'm thinking it's the same thing that I had saw, a couple nights before. And I literally jumped, went running, yelling for my dad to come. And then, I turn around, turn right back, pointing at where it's at, and the thing was gone. So it is impossible for it to have been a person in a costume, because the amount of time and how fast. My dad ran straight over there with his flashlight, looking for it, and there's no way a human being could have been having it. We would have been on stilts in order to be as tall and big as this thing was. So it is no way it was a person. And then we had some weird stuff happen the next morning, because me and my brother were walking around. We found this mound, and then we were walking down this trail collecting like horny toads and stuff, and we were, obviously we're looking for the creature, and there was something throwing rocks at us, like constantly, trying to get us to stop walking further down the trail. And we thought it was my dad, and it wasn't my dad, because we started walking back. We're like telling my dad, we know you're there, you're not scaring us. And then we go and we look straight ahead, and my mom and my dad are cooking dinner. And then we're like, oh my gosh, what is this, or who is this?
Right.
And we ran. And that was my
Did your
my
brother
encounter.
see that night? He didn't get to see it that night, did he? When you were coming into...
No, my brother did not. It was just me that saw it.
Yeah.
Because, I was yelling for him to see it, but, it happened so quickly that by the time he got in position to look at it, it had already pushed itself back into the brush, and it was gone.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
All we could see was movement. But, when the second encounter, when it went into the camp, like, my dad could see the bushes moving where it had ran into the forest, and, it was huge.
Right. So there's some evidence that your dad knew that there was at least something there. You weren't...
Yeah, no, there was no doubt that there was something there, because he was over there, he didn't know what it was, and we took precautions, because my dad was thinking that it was a bear that came in and was standing up and then took off.
Right. Yep.
But it was not a bear. I'm telling you, I know for a fact it was not a bear. It was humanoid-ish, like, stature.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's that, and then I had the weird experiments on the reservation.
Yeah.
Where
they were crazy.
I'm told that what I saw was referred to as a skinwalker. There was that incident. It was basically like we were coming from the desert. We were walking from where we were supposed to be at, and we had gotten ice cream at this building. We're walking this dirt field, basically. And then this sickly-looking person was following us, and they were just walking and moving behind. I got this terrible feeling, and we ran, and when we got back to where we were at, when the Navajo men came over there because we thought we thought the person was trying to kidnap us.
Yeah.
And then when they went over to where the person was, because he ducked to jump down behind this bush, and then when they went over there, a coyote came out. And it shocked them. I could tell that the men didn't expect it. Like, they were like, whoa, like they expected the guy there, they're going to tackle him.
It's strangely enough, there was a powwow going on at that time, right? There was like some sort of celebration.
It's not a powwow. It was like a tribal thing for the leaders.
Okay.
Because my my friend's dad was like some kind of tribal leader, and he did stuff, and it was like a job thing he had to go to, and I was spending the night there, and I had to go with him because I had spent the night there.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were supposed to just be staying there. Like, this was not like a public event or anything. This was a private event for like leaders.
Okay.
So I mean, I don't exactly know what it was. You know, as a kid, I just know it was like, my friend just told me it was something that he has to do for the tribe. I don't know what they were doing or what it was for, to be honest.
Okay. That's kind of weird though, like a skinwalker to, there's all these elders and leaders of this tribe doing, whatever, and it gets so close to, it's very strange, and as a child, what are you going to think? This friggin' weird dude is following us, he's going to kidnap us, and then boop, there's a coyote coming out. I can imagine what the men were thinking.
Yeah. Well, the thing that's really weird about it is the field is very flat. It was really open. Like, it's not like someone could just walk up on us, because we were walking and then looking back and then seeing how, because, the building gets smaller and smaller. So we were constantly looking around at stuff, looking for critters and stuff while we were walking. So it's just like all of a sudden we're like, hey, is there somebody behind us? And we just turn around and there's like this person there,
right.
faint. but it was a person, but you couldn't see his face. His face was like he had like a hoodie over,
mm-hmm.
and then when you looked where his face would be, it was just black. Like either like he had no face, it was like a shadow, or he painted his face black. I mean, I couldn't tell you, because as soon as he started coming at us, we ran.
Right. But it was just void. Like, there was just a void where his face should be. So it's just even creepier.
Yeah. Like, I don't really know how to describe it. It was just one of those things. It was like, and then when I told my parents about the situation, my friend's dad said that they think that the person was they have a problem with kidnappers out there, and that's what they told my parents, and that's why the men reacted the way they did, is what they told my parents. Because they were very, very much protecting us. Like, after the incident, like, there was like at least 3 grown men around us at all times.
After
that,
like
they made like a.
Was there any ceremony done after, like a chant or any sort of, after they saw the?
I do not remember anything like that. I just remember being all scared, freaked out, and we were sitting in the tent,
mm-hmm.
and we were eating the ice cream, and that's all I really remember until we came home, and then then I went home. He brought me home after the incident. He dropped me off home when we got back to that side of town.
Okay.
So I have no memory of them doing any rituals or anything I can remember, to be honest.
All right. I just didn't know if there was some sort of protection ritual done or whatnot.
They did the thing, like, when it first happened, they did do this thing where they're in a circle, like, around me, and they were saying a bunch of stuff in Navajo. I don't speak Navajo, so I don't know what they were saying.
Right.
And I could just tell by the tone, like, it seemed like they were panicked. But that's, I mean, I'm not very familiar with, like, that part of, like, history and stuff, like our ancestors. I don't know Navajo traditions that well.
Right.
So I couldn't answer those questions, unfortunately.
All right. And then we get to the one that's going to lead us into everything, the basic, the talk at the end, why I really had John, is the one that you had at your granddad's and kind of who your granddad was and stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah, so my grandfather, we didn't know this at the time, but I didn't know him very well, and I've only seen him a few times up until shortly before he died, but he works in the military, and he worked for the U.S. Pentagon. And he worked with analyzing occult groups and evaluating if they're dangerous to basically the U.S. government or not. And we didn't know that's what he did. Like we had no idea that he does that stuff. But when we were visiting him in California at one of the bases that he lived at, I think it was when we came back from Disneyland, I was walking from one room to the other room, and he has these giant windows that lead up into the backyard. And pressed against the window was this dog. It was a small dog creature. And like Jeff, you have like a video I think you posted yesterday where you have like an image of this Dogman's face, and it's
Yep.
like these kind of yellowish eyes looking at you, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what the face of the thing looks like. Okay, like when I see those eyes looking at me, it looks like the eyes of the creature,
Okay.
and it's like like it was, and it had its hands, and they're like a raccoon, like sitting on the window. It's the best way I could describe it. It was dark. It was like a raccoon, but this thing was not super big. It was skinny, and it was kind of matty, kind of like sickly looking, and it was about the size of my dad, so it was about 5'9", maybe slightly smaller than him. And when I was at the window, it was just looking at me, and then I I saw like almost like kind of like like I wouldn't say it's glowing, but when I think about it, it was almost like, you know, when you have like those things that you shake and they glow, the glow sticks.
Yeah.
And when they're when they've been running for like a day or two and they're very very timid, like a
Almost
little
a
bit of a glow
faint
to
light.
them.
Yeah, real faint.
Yeah, that's what caught my eye. And then when I looked, this thing's at the window. I thought it was a person at first, and then when I realized I said it had a dog head, I froze and I couldn't move. Like I literally froze and could not move.
Okay.
And it backed away from the window, and then it kept on waving for me to come in, like to come to it. And I was just freaked out. And then it just kind of turned around and it started walking, and then his backyard is super, super small, and it leads straight up a hill. And the creature starts crawling up the hill, and it turns around and it looks at me, and I swear it smiles. I know it sounds weird, but it's like it had this like evil smile, like it really was excited that it scared me.
Yep.
And I was shaking so much that I was spilling the milk all over the place. And then my dad walked in and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And he saw I was like, he's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, I'm fine. Because and this is what your audience is going to learn is I grew up as a Jehovah's Witness. And if you tell anyone that you grew up or you see something like that as a Jehovah's Witness, like they think you're demonized.
Yeah.
And so they'll make you do a bunch of weird rituals, and I did not want that, and so I did not say a word to my parents. I never even mentioned. Matter of fact, I didn't even tell anybody about it until I was an adult.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then most of my friends that I told, like, you know, the psychological and mental abuse that I suffered as a kid.
Yep. Or as a child.
But,
yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying, like, the forest experience is absolutely not. It is possible that I could have been imagining that, but I don't think so. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. It does make a lot of sense. Now, kind of getting into the Jehovah's Witness thing, your grandfather made one comment to you about the creatures, and then we'll jump into all of the Jehovah's Witness stuff.
Yeah, so that's what got me into your channel, really, is when I was working with the police about the child molestation issue with the Jehovah's Witnesses and working and turning a bunch of child molesters in. At that time, he had said something to me. I was at his house getting some kind of like a biblical literature book, I can't remember what exactly I was getting. I was getting something like a codex or something, and he mentioned something to me about, you know, it's not a witness material. This is like, you know, stuff that you, and I was like, no, that's what I need because I'm doing this project. And he was like, okay. And then he said something to me about that, and I freaked out, and I was like telling him, like, I'm not a Jehovah's Witness. I'm not one of those child molesters. And then he was like, whoa. And then he was like, hey, he goes, I'm sorry. He goes, here, I want you to sit down and talk to me. Now this seems like, okay, whatever, your grandpa wants to talk to you, right? But the thing is, though, your audience doesn't know my grandpa. He never speaks to anybody about anything, ever.
Right.
Ever.
He's
like, we don't know him. Like, even to this day, I can't tell you I know the man. Like, anyone could say anything and I wouldn't know.
Yeah,
he was so secretive.
That's one of the things that when you said, hey, this is to me, I remember, I'll never forget, is that you wish that your granddad hadn't passed because you really didn't know him. You didn't, you didn't know him at all, but you knew him as your granddad.
Yeah, and he told me, and so we were talking about the subject for a long time, and then because at this point I had been working with the law enforcement about the Jehovah's Witness situation, and I had been also, I believe I was communicating with somebody who was related in our government at that time as well, which I can't say his name right now.
Right.
But that person was, telling me a bunch of stuff, about the Democrat Party and the stuff. So I was asking him about that stuff, and he was telling me a bunch of crazy things. And then he told me, he goes, at one point he said, I know you don't believe this stuff, but I'm going to tell you there are things that are out there, because we started getting into like these satanic rituals that some of these like Masonic groups do with children and stuff.
Yep.
And he was talking about the Jehovah's Witnesses hierarchy is they're all Masonic, and that they're into these like, weird rituals and stuff like that. And he was saying that, they are a satanic organization at the top. And he said, and there's more of that in our government than anyone really knows. And he started saying all this weird stuff about how like the CIA and how other people will sometimes get them, and they have ways of erasing their memories, and he said sometimes they'll kill them, and he was saying all kinds of weird stuff. And I was just like, what? And then he's like, I know you don't believe me, he says, but there are supernatural aspects to our government, things that I don't even know what they are. And he said that there are these creatures that he thinks the government uses as weapons, that he thinks that they're demonic. And he said that they were black hounds, devil hounds, and then there was another name. He named like a bunch of names, but I can't remember what they all were. But he was referring to the Dogman. Now, I was in such shock. I didn't even because I was like, I think back about how I saw one of these things at his house, and then here he is telling me about these creatures.
Right.
And I was like, oh my God. Like, that's when it dawned on me that I did not imagine that this is real. That's what brought me over to the edge of like, okay, did I imagine it? Did I really see it? You're a kid. And I said, no way. There's no way this is a coincidence,
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks later, they found him dead.
I wonder, really quick, I don't know, I wonder if that Dogman was not there for you, but more or less your grandfather. You know what I mean? Like, supposedly if they're weaponizing these things, your grandfather knows a lot, maybe too much, and
there's no way for me to know.
Yeah.
He said he had never seen them. He claimed that he had never seen them. He worked with something that involved some kind of like something about the industry of them. Like, he knew about them, but he never worked with them, is what he had said.
Yeah.
He knew of them, like he knew of the project, I guess.
There's too many coincidences with you in your life and everything that you've been involved in. Like with you in the, bringing down, these evil men, child molesting men. I just kind of thought about it when you were talking about the experience on the Navajo land, how that guy could have been there to abduct you and your friend. I wonder if that's got a connection or not. That's just kind of weird too.
To be honest, I never. I mean, it's a good point. I never really thought about it. To be honest,
it's just it's strange. It's very strange. So we'll get into the real reason why I had you back was to kind of talk about the Jehovah's Witness, kind of the elite organizations and things that you were involved in. But one thing that I remember looking into after you and I had talked, someone had mentioned to me, and I don't know if it was you or not, but I heard that there was some kind of wooden door at a Jehovah's Witness I don't know.
Assembly. It's the door with the 666 on it. Is that what you're talking about?
Some sort of bipedal dog or wolf or demon or something that looked like a wolf. And I don't know if it was you or not, but that's when I looked up online and I read about the Smurf girl, and I started to read deeply into what was going on and how crazy and how deep this crap really went. So
yeah, you know what? I think Smurth Girl is who had talked about that, and it's related to the Masonic Lodge.
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't have the exact information. I don't remember it offhand, but basically the Jehovah Witness hierarchy structure, everyone at the high levels is a Mason of some kind.
Okay.
The Witnesses have their own Masonic Lodge, and they, based on the information we've learned about all the cases that we've been involved in, because if you go to like organizations like Silent Lambs and stuff of that nature, and you talk to those people that are like those organizations, there's something like 20,000 child molestation cases for Jehovah's Witnesses, and people don't know how their entire organization is built around pedophiles. Their elites, the rich Jehovah's Witnesses, they make money off these kids and they pass us round and round. If you go to a Kingdom Hall, I have never, ever talked to a Jehovah's Witness who has left the church who doesn't know somebody or wasn't molested as a kid. Not one. So, I mean, obviously that happened to me as a kid.
Really quick, not to cut you off, but I remember when I was growing up, we had these two kids when I was in elementary school, and I'll never forget that they were Jehovah's Witnesses. They were very odd. Not just because they didn't celebrate holidays or their birthdays, but they acted very odd. Timid, very timid, but aggressive too. Like, it was just really weird. I remember there was something about them that was just really off, and I'm wondering now that I know what I know, if those poor kids went through that, and they were twins, and it was just, now it makes sense of why they acted the way they acted.
Yeah. It's a conditioning. All witnesses are conditioned the same way, because the witnesses are taught from the occult. The occult group tells them that there are monsters and demons out there, and that the entire world is built around serving Satan, and they're all out to get the Jehovah's Witnesses, and the Jehovah's Witnesses are the only safe people out there. Really? Is the way they're taught. So they're taught that everyone is evil.
Now, when they're conditioning you on this, are they talking about, like, when they say, hey, there are these the monsters, these demons, do they tell you what they look like, or do they just say they're human demons, or what?
Well, anything that's like what you consider supernatural, they say are demons. They don't believe in any aliens or anything like that. They say all that is demons, and they're out there trying to trick people to hide the truth of Jehovah's Witnesses, Jehovah, from everyone, is what they believe. And that's what they tell everyone. So when you're a kid, you're constantly told, like, if you do bad things and you make Jehovah mad, the demons will come get you. Okay. Like, they tell you that from birth, like, as like 2-3-year-old child.
And Jehovah is God, right? Jehovah is just God.
Yeah, Jehovah is the deity that the Jehovah's Witnesses believe in.
Okay.
And a lot of people don't see. The thing about the Jehovah's Witnesses is you can say something about what they believe in, but they alter their text and what they believe in. Like, every 10 years they change, and they get things called new light. Mm-hmm. So you never really know what Jehovah's Witnesses really believe at one moment in time, because they're constantly changing all the time. Like, if you look at their history and their books and stuff, if you look at a book that you purchase and then look at the online library they have, you can see how they're taking things out to try to, like, PG themselves, to make them, because they're also really well known for making false prophecies all the time.
Yeah.
Like, they've predicted end of the world, I think, 12 times.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy. So they literally take history out of their own books, like something. Yeah. That's insane. That is crazy. Is there any kind of is there a connection with Jehovah's Witnesses in Scientology?
Yes, there is.
A deep connection?
I don't know how deep it is. I just know that the guy, Aaron Harbert, I can't say his name right, but the founder of them, his family was friends with the people who created the Jehovah's Witnesses. Okay. So
they kind of modeled, Jehovah's Witnesses kind of modeled.
Well, it's the other way around.
Oh, it is.
He modeled himself after the Jehovah's Witnesses. That's why they're almost identical.
Okay.
Like when you watch this, so like a lot of ex-witnesses will tell you like they can't believe like how similar they are. Like it always shocks them.
Yeah, yeah.
And the reason is because they do the exact same thing. Like they're identical, except for they just change the name of
Okay.
like whatever their special thing is. Like they're people that are on the ship. Those are circuit overseers.
Okay. Yeah, because both are involved in like conditioning and you know really uh uh, having strict like kind of grips, a tight grip over their flock or whatever you want to call it. You know.
Yeah, it's considered a high control group, is what we would call it.
Okay. All right.
And
Yeah,
so
that's
what that
insane.
means is that they control every aspect of your life, like what you're to eat, what you can watch, who you can marry, who you're allowed to contact, what literature you can read. Like they control every aspect of your entire life. If you're a Jehovah's Witness, it goes so far as they tell you what positions you and your wife can make love in.
Wow.
And
That's
they'll say that. I mean, imagine you're at church and
yeah.
then they're talking about stuff like that. That's what Kingdom Halls are like.
That's sick.
Yeah, it's really creepy. And the reason they have all this stuff is part of their conditioning is they want people who have the urge to want to, be with, a woman or whatever. They want you to feel guilty for that because you're only allowed to have sex when you get married with the witnesses and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And they're super, super, super crazy about sex and like what you can and can't do. And everyone is really repressed. And then that's one of the reasons why they have, it's one of the several reasons why they have the highest amount of sex offenders in history in one organization.
Right.
And that is an actual fact, too, that we learned from the Australia Royal Commission.
It's strange that they put like such a strict policy on men and women, like adult men and women, yet they can do what they do with children and circulate them like that. I mean, I don't know.
And that's the thing is your normal rank and file witness, they don't know what the rules are because witnesses don't even know what the rules of their own religion are because in order to know the rules of the actual religion, it's like Scientology where you have to work your way up to a certain level and then you get more information. So once you work your way up to an elder, you're given something called the Elder's Handbook, referred to as the Shepherding Book.
Okay.
And their rules and policies are written in there. And that's been used in court against them because their rules and policies tell their members, do not report child molesters. If a girl is raped and she's talking about it, you're to do everything you can to silence her.
Wow. Huh. It's almost
and she gets shunned.
Wow, like Amish shun. Wow, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's how they control their members. They get your family in, and then when they rape you as a kid, they'll tell you that if you talk about it, you're bringing reproach on Jehovah's name. If you look at the files or you look up cases, you'll see you're bringing reproach on Jehovah's name is a code name for raping children. And when they say that, you're going to be reproached on Jehovah's name, it's a code name to the other elders to know that, okay, this goes to the police, we're going to get arrested.
That's insane. And they've got a lot of money too to back. They're pretty wealthy.
$1.5 billion.
Jeez, I'm crow.
And that's just what we know about. I'm sure they have other hidden assets because they've moved a lot of their assets since the Australia Royal Commission had exposed them about the child abuse situation.
Yeah.
And they've been allocating funds to hedge funds and stuff like that.
Are they now? They're worldwide, right? I mean, they're not.
Yeah, they're all over the world. They say there's 8 million of them, but I don't really know if that's really accurate. I think there's just like 8 million all the total, counting their family members and stuff. But
Okay.
How many active Jehovah's Witnesses there are, I'm not really sure what the number is, but they claim 8 million.
Now, when you think of the word cult, you think of like rituals. Like
yeah. They have tons and tons of rituals.
Are there rituals like that? Are they like, I mean...
Oh, yeah. Everything is ritualized. Every aspect of your life is ritualized. When you eat, what you eat, when you're going to eat, what you're going to do, what jobs you're allowed to do. I mean, I don't know of another group besides maybe Scientology that is ritualized.
Wow. I mean, that's just insane.
But the thing is, they don't tell you these things, and they don't even let the people they study with know this. Like, here's a big example. So people who are into Christianity, they think that Jehovah's Witnesses are Christians. Jehovah's Witnesses are not Christian.
No.
They don't even believe in Jesus. And people don't even know that. And they won't even tell you that till about 2 years of indoctrination when they think they have you. Then they'll tell you the truth of what they really think. And they believe that Jesus is Michael the Archangel and that Jesus isn't really God. You know, because most Christians believe that Jesus is actually God and they believe in the Trinity.
Right.
Witnesses don't believe in any of that. They believe that Jesus is God's son and that he was Michael the Archangel.
That's crazy. That's just...
Yeah, and other people don't know this is the Witness Bible that they have.
Yeah.
They pretended to have professional translators translate that Bible, the New World Translation, and there was a court case like in 2013 where somebody was like another translator group was trying to sue them for fraud.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't. The case dismissed it because they're saying the witnesses have the right to make their own Bible, you know, and change and alter the Bible.
Right.
But the witnesses were claiming that they're like historically the most accurate Bible and stuff like that. There is absolutely nothing in the actual community supporting what the witnesses are saying.
Right. There's no like historic truth to it at all.
No.
The Bible
Matter
has...
of fact, historians don't even agree
Right.
with what witnesses say because they change dates based on their old belief of pyramidology.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that they're obsessed with the pyramids, the founders,
Really?
like Russell and stuff. Yeah, their entire their books are so bizarre and crazy. Like they were claiming that like you could like know people's personalities by like studying like the rivets on your head. That was something they were taught. They used to sell like magic wheat. They used to claim to cure cancer, and the government came after them. Like the list of things that witnesses do and have done is outrageous. I don't know how anybody is in that religion. If you spend any time researching them, it's crazy the stuff that they've done.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. It's what year did they come about? Is there an actual, does anyone know like an actual like founding year?
Oh, yeah, I have that stuff. I would have to go and look it up. It's all in my notes. They're around like 180 years, maybe 200 at max.
So
they're pretty new.
They're not an old organization at all.
No, not at all. They claim that they are, but they're not.
Okay. You know what's strange to me though is like when you said they're fascinated or obsessed with the pyramids, yet when you think when anybody, and I don't even care if you are not into the paranormal or whatever, you know, anybody would think pyramids. Second thing you think of is UFOs, but yet they think that these aliens or ghosts or whatever are demons, but yet they're obsessed with the pyramids. That's kind of strange.
There's an old Christian practice where you would take pyramids, and it's called pyramidology, and you would translate mathematically like the size and the ratios of like the shadows and a bunch of other stuff to try to predict stuff. They were into that. A lot of like weird Christian occult groups during the time period the witnesses came about because they were part of the Dons originally, if I remember correctly. Okay. And it was actually a pretty common thing.
Seventh-day Adventists are part of that, right, or something?
Yes. Yeah. They broke away from them. They were originally once the same group.
I had a friend growing up, and he was a Seventh-day Adventist. Well, his dad was. The kid was like a normal, you know. I mean, like, you know, when you're a kid, you're a jerk. You know, you do dumb crap. You know, but this kid was normal, and then, you know, I remember we were probably like 13, 14, and, you know, we'd ride our four-wheelers and stuff, and it was when we were experimenting with weed and stuff, and then all of a sudden he goes to his dad's, and he's gone for like a year, and he comes back, and his dad's like this strict Seventh-day Adventist who carried this little book around with him, and, you know, he just started like preaching these crazy ideas or whatever. Like he's like, the Catholic Pope is Satan, and he'd be like on his capellate in Greek, Hebrew, Latin, it spells mathematically 666, and I'm like, really? And as a kid, you're like, holy crap, and just like
Yeah.
fascinated with it. But I can see how like people can kind of get drawn into it too, though. It's scary. It's very scary.
Yeah, I mean, growing up as a Jehovah's Witness is not a wonderful experience. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you're constantly being told everyone hates you, everyone's pretending they're all out to get you, and so you're taught not to trust the police, not to trust the authorities at all, and that the only people you can trust are the elders. And then you got these elders who are beating you and raping you, and then you're being taught that that's God's people right there, and that's the best that you can get.
That's insane. That's just
because they played it off like what happened to me was an isolated incident, and I did not realize how bad it really was until I started working with the police and I started interviewing witnesses, and I found out that 22 kids that I grew up with were molested like me.
Wow.
And you think about it, like you're talking about the Kingdom Halls in Arizona, there's not that many of them.
Right.
And then, like if I look like I remember being in the 6th grade, and then one of the girls telling me that the elder that was doing the Bible study with her was raping her, and then her parents found out. You would think a parent would call the police, but instead they bring the elder over there. And when she told me this, I confronted the parents, and I remember them telling me that it was taken care of, and their reasoning was they read me a Bible verse talking about giving pieces of silver, and that was their justification for why it was okay to do. What happened was okay because they read some Bible verse, and they were making the person that was raping her pay like a monthly fee to the parents for like repentance.
Yeah.
And they were still making her study the Bible with him.
That is disgusting.
And then you hear stuff like that, and you're like, well, it's got to be like, just a weird coincidence, right? No. Nope. That kind of crap, that kind of behavior is constant everywhere. And it's weird because you'll have like my uncles are involved in this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like they knew about it. I told them about what happened. I told them because there was a girl at my Kingdom Hall I went to, or not girl, there's an elder's son, and he would invite the girls over for Bible study, and he would rape them. And then after he'd raped the girls, if they would talk about it, all the elders would start making rumors about her, and then they would do their shunning on her to shut her up. And then they would have talks about how inappropriate her clothes are and all this other stuff. And I had an alteration with these people. Like I remember going and finding out from her at one of the like get-togethers what they had done to her, and I confronted the kid about it, and he was all crying, saying that she seduced me and all this other stuff. And I was like, you know what, dude, you're a liar. And I remember him. He just like snapped his fingers and came out of it. He's like, yeah, what are you gonna do about it though? He was like, my dad's an elder, and I'll have him take care of you. So we got an alteration, is how I'll say it. And then the elders beat me up.
Wow.
Like right then and there in front of everybody, and they beat me up at the Kingdom Hall too.
That's insane. As a parent, I just can't. I would literally kick the shit out of. Like I don't understand and that is the ultimate mind control, because if you're a parent, your main thing in life, and your main thing in life is your child, and I can't understand it. It's just it's crazy too that their fingers are into everything in America, which is crazier.
Yeah. But and the way their structure is, like when an elder or somebody in their group is raping people and you find out about it, what they'll do is they'll have him move to a new congregation, and they'll disfellowship him for a year.
Mm-hmm.
And then after the year's up, they'll bring him right back in, and then he'll be an elder right again, and he'll start raping kids again. And so people don't realize this, that these rapists are working as elders and stuff. Like, they're paying money to the Jehovah's Witnesses to do what they're doing. It's not like they don't know what's going on.
Right.
Like, people have this idea that they're just sneaking in there and the child molesters know that they – no. The higher-ups are child molesters. There is speculation, and that's how I'm going to say it right now because certain legal reasons I can't say too much, but there's speculation that the elders, like that they know that they're involved, and it goes all the way up to the governing body, which is the people who own the Jehovah's Witnesses. And there are rumors that some of the governing body members are child molesters as well. Now, like I said, it's rumors. It hasn't been officially released in court, but there are things going on with Jehovah's Witnesses. Yeah, I mean that's why there's so many documentaries and there's so much stuff coming out right now, is because like it's basically like the cat's out of the bag now. Like, people know what's going on.
Yeah, the lid has been blown off, and it needs to, people need to know about this because it's
you if you have kids, if you know somebody who is an elder, he is involved in child molestation. You cannot be an elder in the Jehovah's Witness community and either, one, be a child molester, or you're willing to hide it. You have to. They test their members to see if they'll choose, going to the authorities, or if they'll hide the little, the secret cult activity. So everyone who's an elder is involved in child molestation in the Jehovah's Witness community. Every single one of them.
It's mind blowing. It's just. It's satanic in my eyes. That's satanic. It's just disgusting. It's there's no reason to even, you know what I mean? Like, right now, I every time, like, when me and you talked the first time and I went into the Reddit rabbit hole, I actually was mad. Like, I just kind of wanted to carpet bomb all of the Kingdom Halls, because it's just so disgusting and just so sad that these things just, it's not like they turn a blind eye, because they don't, because they're actually looking right at it. The elders, they're just like, I'm one too. Hey, you don't have anyone to trust. You can't trust anyone.
Yeah, when you hear you'll commonly hear people refer to it as a pedophile's paradise. It literally is.
That's insane.
Because that company, because the Witnesses, like, they're not really a religion. They're a company. And once you get into their Bethel and stuff, their headquarters and stuff, you see how things are run there. Those people run the entire. It's a giant corporation, and they don't care about you at all. If they're not making money off you, they would rather. They will tell you that. If people ever watch their crazy literature, they hate education. They tell people that thinking for yourself is evil and dangerous.
Yeah, because you're educated and you can put a stop to it.
Yeah. If you get educated as a Jehovah's Witness, you're looked down upon. But the funny thing is, though, like, look how huge and massive they are. They obviously have to have educated people in their, running all their things that they do.
Absolutely. We have a Kingdom Hall here, and it's a strange setup how they have it and how the building is positioned. It's got like a large wall behind it. It's almost like it's protected.
Have you ever noticed that Kingdom Halls don't have a lot of times don't have windows if they were built by Jehovah's Witnesses?
Yeah.
Do you know why?
For protection, to keep what's in there secret.
Yep, that's where they do their rituals. They will rape kids at the Kingdom Hall, and they don't have windows so that people can't see. There are tons and tons of cases of them doing rituals and satanic rituals and elders raping kids, and there's just, when I first started learning about this stuff, and then I started going what you refer to as the rabbit hole, I was just like, oh my gosh. So then, I started reaching out to law enforcement. I started working with retirees. The thing is, though, the police department knows about the Jehovah's Witnesses and knows what they do and what they're doing. But the way the legislation is written in a lot of our states, they can't do anything about it. So your police, because people are always like, why don't the police just go in there and do it? The police can't do anything to them. because of the way the laws are set up.
Is
So a
that
lot
is
of
that
these,
like a is that why they're a religion and not a company? Kind of like the separation of state and religion or
yes,
whatever.
and they get away with a lot of their stuff because of their, because of the Clergy Penance Act,
Mm-hmm.
where the witnesses can go, they can be like, okay, you knew these people were being raped, but you can call, we're members of clergy, so we don't have to tell law enforcement. Yeah, the Ulster Road Commission, they called them out on that. I
Yeah.
mean, it's happened here in the U.S. courts like all the time. A lot of your agencies that deal with child molesters and stuff, and like helping victims and stuff, they're going around state to state trying to get senators and stuff to change the laws, because a lot of people don't realize a lot of these, like, this is going to sound really weird, but a lot of your groups that work with um, like your social justice warriors and stuff, a lot of them are associated with Watchtower, like the people running those companies.
Okay.
And then they pretend like they're running and creating legislation, but the legislation has loopholes allowing for these people to get away with the stuff they do.
Wow.
Yeah, like when I started, because like I said, I have acquaintances that work in the government and things of that nature, like politicians and that kind of stuff. And the things that they tell me, and then when working with these people that I know involved in these things that work with legislation, and then finding out like all this stuff was like, I was shocked when I found out what is really going on, how things go on now. Like I know a lot of people have controversies about the previous administration with the President Donald Trump.
Yeah.
The reason why so many people or so many organizations like Hollywood went after with him is because when he was in office, the first thing he did is he went after human trafficking.
Yeah.
And witnesses and all these other organizations that are involved in it were like, oh my God, he's coming for us. And they were like, we got to get him out. We got to get him out. We got to get them out. Because that Donald Trump guy, I'm going to tell you right now, like, that guy is not like, a saint or anything. I mean,
No.
people try to act like he is, but he's got enough of a heart where he knows that this is wrong.
Yeah. 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 Well, I think a lot of that is because, and like you said it. You don't have to like him for what he does, like with his Twitter accounts and stuff. But he is loaded, but
Yeah.
he's more of a regular person. He's not controlled like the presidents that we have and the politicians that we have are controlled by money and these secret organizations and cults and crap like
Yeah.
that. And he is not. He is, he's himself. And that's a big reason why, he was like probably seeing all this, stuff and saying, this is crazy. We can't have this in our country,
Yeah. I can tell you something really funny. So I'm talking about Donald Trump, right? So when the witnesses sold their headquarters, Donald Trump's son is the one that purchased the building.
Really?
And you know what he said during the interview? He did this on purpose. When they were looking at the building, there are strange underground bunker structures that exist not on the blueprints. And he said that in their interview, letting them know that he purchased the building so that they could expose the witnesses.
Wow.
And a lot of people didn't catch it and didn't notice. And if you don't know the history of witnesses, because witnesses have their own Masonic lodge, and then people like Donald Trump and his son, they're part of their own Masonic lodges.
Yeah.
Not every Masonic lodge is like into child molesting and stuff. Like they're not all crazy like this. But the witnesses just happen. Their lodge and their Masonic lodge is into this stuff.
Right. And I'm imagining because Freemasonry and like the Knights of Templar and stuff like that was created to protect Christianity. And I'm thinking like the Jehovah Witness Masonry, and I'm using air quotes when I say that, was based off of the Freemasons of the real Freemasons, but created around the same time, almost to kind of mimic the Catholic religion, so they can use a lot of that loophole state versus religion stuff. And it's crazy. It's nuts, man. It's friggin' nuts.
Yeah. If you want, if you don't mind, I would like to tell you things that they did to me when they found out I was working with the police.
Yeah, if you, yeah, yeah.
So, so remember, like, I go and I start finding out all this stuff, and the police straight up told me that um, because of what the witnesses do, they know they speculate that they work with the mob as well, and
The
so they were
mafia.
speculating that there was a chance that the witnesses might try to kill me.
The mafia? Did you say the mafia?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
So the witnesses are a lot of things. There's connections with cartels and mob and all kinds of stuff.
Okay.
And so they think and that's because of the child abuse and child trafficking aspect. You know, a lot of like, you know, those people, they into the same thing.
Money.
But yeah. So I'm like, okay, so I go and do this, and I do my interview, you know, we do this, and they told me, they said if anything happens to me, they wanted to have that so they could, you know, basically they're going to blame my death on the witnesses. They know it was a murder. So I'm like, oh gosh, okay, yeah. So I started talking to some of these people, these agencies, telling about the crazy stuff they do. Well, I'm talking to the police. I don't tell anyone what I'm doing. Nobody knows what I'm doing. I'm not telling anybody. I'm getting information, asking people stuff. And then my family members start asking me, who are Jehovah's Witnesses, about, you know, my case and stuff. And they start saying things to me that I was saying to the police that they shouldn't have, or actually the detective. And so I asked the detective, I said, did you tell them this? And he was like, no. He's like, I didn't say any of this stuff. And I was like,
then how did they know?
Yeah. And so I was like, oh my gosh. And so I talked to somebody one of these agencies that deals with like this stuff, and they said that the witnesses have my phone tapped. They said they do this all the time. And I was like, really? I was like, holy shit. And so I'm like, oh my God, this is really crazy. So now the witnesses, the police start asking questions. They start interviewing people and asking them stuff at this point. So the witnesses know that they're asking about my abuser, because we're trying to get them. I asked them to give me the name of the person who raped me so I could take them to court and make them a registered sex offender.
Yeah.
They refused.
The police did.
No, the witnesses.
The witnesses did. Okay.
Well, and so I was told, and I recorded witnesses telling me, people I knew telling me where some of the files are. And so I gave it to the police, obviously. And one police station actually sent an officer down there, and they were going to raid the witness, Kingdom Hall, and another precinct captain called and stopped them. And then I called them, and it was like, what's going on? Why am I here? Where's the cop? And they're like, we can't do this. And they don't want to tell me why they stopped. And I was like, this is really weird. And then the detective told me that his captain said that we had to be careful because of all the red tape, and that they're politically connected, the witnesses are, so heavily that they had to be real careful with them because they have a lot of power and say. And I was like, oh, wow. And, you know, this is when I was like, oh my gosh, this is really crazy. Then witnesses started stealing my mail. Then they started showing up at my house randomly, trying to see if we were home. So that I speculate they wanted to break in to try to get my information and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And
then they sent somebody to my work, and I caught one of them trying to spy on me at my work. Now, I'm not gonna say what I do, but technically, them doing what they did is a federal crime.
Yeah,
because of where I work at.
Big red flag right there.
Yeah. And so I turned them into my work, and I was like, okay. And I straight up said, I told them what happened. I told the police what happened. And I said, they have cameras. So my understanding is that they were recorded trying to spy on me, because I caught them. I came out of my office, went around, and then caught them at my door, literally pressed their little ear trying to listen to me, because I guess they thought that I was talking to the police or something at that time. Yeah, they are absolutely crazy. Like, you hear that weird stuff that Scientology does. Witnesses do the exact same thing. Yeah. They follow you, they stalk you. They'll as soon as I put I have like a page that has my Jehovah's Witness stuff on, they were immediately attacking it. They were putting pornographic links onto my stuff. one of the Jehovah's Witnesses, they went around and made videos about me telling people that I was a child molester. And I was like, and then this is the thing is, and then as soon as the police were like, okay, I was working with lawyers and other stuff, and all this stuff is going on. I have all these people helping me, all these they knew big shit was happening because I was talking to people in the government. I'm talking to big people and they were like, the lawsuit was coming and they knew it. And then as soon as they found out that the police were not able to charge them due to the statutes of limitations, my family cut contact with me. So they were pretending. My family members or witnesses were pretending to help me and be involved. Right. In reality, they were being told to feed information to Watchtower. And I know this for a fact because I have the damn police report in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
And they were lying to the police, telling the police, and I have the transcripts, telling the police that I have a mental illness. I have no mental illness, and I have no diagnosis whatsoever of that. And they were giving false diagnosis of me having mental illness. And then every single time they would say I had a mental illness, at the end of that, they would praise Watchtower and how wonderful they are. Every single one of them. And the police told me that this was really creepy and weird.
Yeah. I mean, that's when you start praising things. My nephew has a real, he's got mental disorders, but praise the Watchtower. I mean, how the hell do you? How many during all of this? Because I know you're kind of wrapped up, right? You're done with the whole investigation now, or are you not?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not. I'm always working with people and stuff. But how many? My personal case has been. It's on hold right now.
Okay. Have you contributed to any arrests of these horrible people?
Not that I'm aware of. I know that. Well, sort of in a way. We work with certain people and organizations, and they're doing stuff, and we all help one another, in the ex-Jehovah's Witness community. And so, yes, some people things have happened to them, but none of the people that I'm directly associated with me that were involved in my abuse, nothing has happened to them.
Do you ever think, has there been a lot of arrests throughout the time period, or no? None?
With witnesses in general, or are you talking about just the people I know?
The elders, in general.
There's some here and there. It's not as much as you would think. But because most of the time, when you go after it's he says, she says,
mm-hmm.
And what they'll do is the elder will rape somebody, and then the community, the whole church will say that person's a liar. And will say they're on drugs or something like that. They'll come up with an excuse, and the church will sit there and defend the rapist altogether because the elders will control them and tell them, okay, we're going to say this and that, and they script what they say to the police. And so from the police perspective, you have one person saying this and one person saying that, and you have 30 people saying that one person's a liar. And so they get away with a lot of it. And then when they can't get away with it, when the shit is so bad that there's just no getting out of it, they'll bring it to court, and then they'll pay you off. And then once that happens, it gets locked up in the legal system, and the police can't get to it. The witnesses want that to happen.
Wow.
The witnesses want you to go to court, and they want to have to be able to, for you to sign a contract saying you can't say anything, because then it's locked up, and then that doesn't go to law enforcement.
Wow, that's crazy.
It is a total. They have this tuned to an art.
Yeah, it's complete manipulation. They've manipulated the law. They've manipulated so much to protect themselves.
Yeah, I actually have someone who was in their headquarters who left, and one of the reasons why he left was because there is a part in their organization. They have a team of people who go around making fake accounts, pretending to not be Jehovah's Witnesses, and they find ex-Jehovah's Witnesses and then try to make them look like they're liars. Right. And you can always tell by the way they talk, because witnesses have a really strange way of talking, and they have certain, a vocabulary that you can notice.
Yeah.
And like, it's funny because I'll call them out sometimes on my channel, and I'll be like, you can always tell because they're like an account that just started like 3 years ago, and it has no subscribers, no videos, no nothing,
Mm-hmm.
and then all of a sudden they're going off like they know what they're talking about, and then as soon as you put like links to the information you're discussing, they'll always try to make you fight like your feelings, but as soon as you put factual information there, they'll end the conversation, and they're trained to do that. And so this person I know who was doing that, he said that they were having him do that, and then that's what woke him up, because he was like, this is God's kingdom. Why am I pretending to be someone else defending us?
Yeah, yeah. Why can't I
And
be
he's like,
me and defend? If we're so righteous, why can't
yeah.
I just be me?
Why do I have to lie about everything? Why do I have to keep all these secrets? And then he left their headquarters. And I'm telling you, like, everybody tells me the same thing. When you get out, it's the most stressful thing because they don't have social skills at all.
Yeah.
Witnesses have no social skills. They don't know how the world works. They're so like wrapped up in this little community that they don't know how anything works. But once they get out, like 5 years or so, they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe what I was in.
Yeah, you can. It's like at basically any other religious cult, like Mormons, like when you see when those
Mm-hmm.
girls escape, and they can finally breathe, but it's so upsetting because they got to leave their families behind and this and that, and they turn their family against you. Like, your mom and dad are still Jehovah's Witnesses, correct?
Yeah, they are. And my parents, well, they support me, but
Okay.
like I said, they told people that I have a mental illness to the police.
But still, that, I mean, that they support you, but it must hurt having that,
To know that your family is lying about the people who raped you and hiding the people that raped you, it's terrible.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I'll be honest with you. It's worse than when I was victimized. Because the person who victimized me, I didn't really know them.
Mm-hmm.
Like they hurt me, and then when my mom was lying to people about it and then telling me I can't talk about it, and then my dad didn't even know about it because they didn't know how my dad would react to it. So my mom never told my dad about me being molested.
Right.
And the reason for it is because they thought my dad would do something to the people who did it.
Yeah, yeah.
But
that's insane.
And then my family tried, like when I told my family, like there's a recording of one of my family members when I told them about it, and they were trying to tell me I was lying. And I'm like, what do you mean I was lying? I said, when I told you about the 5 or 7, I can't remember, 5 or 7 girls at my Kingdom Hall that I go to, you were the one that reported them to the leaders of the church, and then they got kicked out of the church. I said, and you're going to sit here and tell me that this doesn't happen when you were involved in it? And the weird like, well, it was taken care of. I'm like, no, it wasn't, dude. Yeah. I said, you know what happened? I followed up on him. That guy who raped her, he left and was reinstated a year later. Not even a year later. The girl he raped, she told me he was reinstated in the Kingdom Hall 6 months later.
Yeah, they're so brainwashed. He's so brainwashed, he thinks that internally it was taken care of, but yet, no, it's not. Wow.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And the other thing is witnesses are compulsive liars. And they have a thing called spiritual warfare. And what it is if you say anything negative about Jehovah's organization, they are told by the people, by the leaders of the church, by the Jehovah's Witnesses, that the governing body tells them to lie and do anything you can to make Jehovah look good. No matter what you have to do, as long as Jehovah looks good, it's okay. So witnesses will absolutely lie to your face and do anything they can, and they believe scripturally it's okay because spiritual warfare is in play. And that means that they don't have to tell you the truth. And that's why they don't tell the police anything. If the police go to him, they won't say anything. They'll just sit there and act like they don't know. And if you ever watch them in court, you'll see them do the same thing. But I mean, lawyers who know what they're doing, they can call them out. That's why they're getting destroyed right now with all these lawsuits. Like the Dogman law firm, in 2019, they had 1,000 cases registered against the Jehovah's Witnesses. One law firm.
Wow.
In 1 year, it was so bad that the New York governor put like a special thing where people could come and then they could, the Clergy Penance Act was removed and kind of lifted for a year. And then, yeah, the court cases are, I mean, there's so many court cases going on with Jehovah's Witnesses that people don't know about. I mean, it's crazy. Like, they say that there are more child molesters in Jehovah's Witnesses organization than any other organization in the world in history. And that's based off their database that the police had recovered, and law firms have.
That's insane.
And there's also cases of murder in there too.
Really? To just cover up what's going on?
Yeah. Zokin himself, the guy who has his own law firm who specializes with Jehovah's Witnesses, he said in some of these Jehovah's Witness documentaries that there are cases in there that there's murder and witnesses are covering up murder. And one of the cases, like you said, one of the people that I asked me if any of them got in jail. One of the cases where a girl was murdered, that someone I'm associated with was involved in, that person is going to jail.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
But
I mean, it's just these are things that just shouldn't exist in society today.
Yeah.
I mean, people look at things that are evil. This is pure evil. This is 100% pure evil. There's nothing good about it. It's and to do what they're doing in the name of a god, whatever god it is, whatever, it's just absolutely disgusting. And I commend you for everything that you've done. You're probably one of the strongest people I know, for the crap that you've been through. And to still have a sense of humor. And like you said, we only know each other from the channel, but we talked for an hour before this, and we were just BSing about things, and it seemed like me and you have known each other for a while. I mean, we've known each other for 2 years at least on the channel, but like just BSing, it was like I was talking to a friend that I've known for a long time. And for you to have to go through all that and still have the mentality that you have, the sense of humor that you have, the sense of right and wrong is I commend you for it. I really do.
You have no idea how much that means to me. It's learning, like when I was doing this, like right before I got really sick and I had to stop because of my health reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Like it did bring me down because every day I'm talking to somebody and I'm hearing someone else's story. But I was like, okay. I said, but these people don't have a voice.
No.
They don't have a voice. There's nobody out there doing anything. And then all of a sudden now we're starting to get the voices out here. Because, I mean, I've been doing this for 20 years. And now it's like, oh, there's a lot of people out there now. Like now people are starting to wake up. They're knowing about this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's great to know that people I've worked with, like some of these people that have these documentaries and some of these people are taking these people to court, like I've known of these people. Like they've been doing stuff. I've spoken to them. Some of them I know, some of them I don't, and I see them doing this stuff and I'm like, go get them. Oh, get them.
Yeah. Your if I remember right, your grandfather was opposed to the Jehovah's Witnesses, but I believe if I'm correct,
he was so opposed to the Jehovah's Witnesses that the reason why I don't know him is
he down too though wasn't because he had government ties. He worked at the Pentagon, and like you'd said, wasn't he like sort of involved in kind of like taking them down? I mean, he had files and stuff, right?
Well,
or was that just occult?
I mean, he had all these files on them, and he divulged. I found this out later, like a couple of years ago. He divulged information to my mom, telling my mom that they're a crazy satanic occult that abuses children and all this stuff. And my mom was like, "Oh, you just hate them, and you're just making up anything." And so he shunned my mother because he was like, "I told you what these people are doing. You won't listen to me."
Right. Right. No offense to your mom or anything. I don't know her, but good for him. You know what I mean? Like good for him. I'm sorry, like but it just, fuck, man.
And then, yeah, I mean, I don't want to get the wrong impression about him. He by no means is my grandfather, some nice man. He's not. Like, I don't want people to think that he's. I mean, I'm going to be real. He's not a nice person at all.
Right.
Like, he's very, very, very strict, but I mean, that's. It's because of what he knew, what he did. And he told me he never told his family, really, because he said, quote, he says, "Now that I know what really goes on, you can never go back." And he's right. I can never, because I see my friends say stupid things on Facebook and things like that. And they're like, "Oh, this and that." I'm like, you don't even know. You tell me I don't know what I'm talking about when I'm talking to the victim. I'm talking to the rapist. Yeah. I'm talking to the police. And you're going to tell me I don't know what I'm talking about? I mean, it's crazy, the cognitive dissonance that people have when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah. And this is, I know some people are gonna, say, "Hey, what does this have to do with anything?" But this is one rung on the ladder of all of the evil cover up, anything in the country that we live in. The government that we live in, they cover up UFO, they cover up cryptids, they cover up occult, they cover up cults, they cover everything up. And it is all connected because it's covered up by, the 1%, the people that are, the elites, the people that we never heard of and never will hear of, I mean, people are like, "Oh, it's a Rothschild." No, dude, there's people that the Rothschilds answer to, it's disgusting. It's nuts. Right now I'm burning up inside. I'm pissed.
I'm pacing back and forth when I'm talking to you because I want to grab stuff and throw it. Talking about them makes me so angry.
And as a parent, parent, it's just it's so mind blowing. And God bless you, man. Really. Fuck, I mean, you are.
Yeah. People like you, listening to me, getting my story out. You have no idea how much stuff like that means to people like us who have had no voice our whole life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's something that needs to be out there. It's something. It's people need to know, and the people that listen to the channel, they're just like me and you. They're and I hope that the more people that learn about this, that something is done, because the more people that are aware of these things that are going on, then you can't hide. It's like it's like a small town. Let's say a town of 10,000, and you've got a kingdom hall there, and you've got 100 people in that kingdom hall that are doing the most disgustingest thing, but they're hiding, right? They're hiding in plain sight because no one knows. But let's say sooner or later, 1,000 of that 10,000 know, then 2,000 know, then 3,000 know. Eventually, that kingdom hall and those people are going to have to answer, and they're going to be removed. It's like a fucking tick on an animal that needs to get removed and destroyed.
Yeah, that's why they're selling, because they've been sued so much lately. Like, we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars, and they've started selling their kingdom halls. Like, a lot of people, they're trying not to tell people, and I was telling people a couple of years ago about it, and now because now they're blaming it on COVID, but that was already happening before COVID.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I mean, as far as they have a lot of money, but they've also blown a lot of money, and I've heard rumors that they're having financial distress right now because of all the lawsuits and their lack of members and stuff. Because very few people stay. They have a retention rate of like less than, it's like 60% or something like that.
Especially nowadays, with people,
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to get new. I'm imagining it'd be real hard to get new. I'm not even gonna call them parishioners, victims, uh, in there because of how educated people are nowadays. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you'd really have to be. And I'm not offending. I'm trying not to, like, if there's anybody that's listening that is a Jehovah's Witness out there, like, but you'd have to be a really dumb person to go into there, see what they do, see what happens to your family members, and stay and not report it.
Yeah.
Like, that's
and
just
and that's the one thing, Jeff, that I want people to know is if you can not listen to anything I say, and I don't care. That's fine. If you know someone who's a Jehovah's Witness and you know a kid and you speculate or you think that they could be getting abused, I'm telling you right now, their parents won't help them.
right.
You have to do it yourself. You have to report it to the authorities. That kid has no advocate whatsoever. Their
Yeah.
church won't do anything for it. Their leaders won't do it for it. I guarantee you their damn parents won't do anything for it. People like you, Jeff, and people like me are the only advocate these children have.
Yeah.
And you know what? I had no advocate as a kid. Nobody spoke for me.
It's so sad, man. I'm so sorry. I'm like, I feel blessed to know you, and I appreciate you opening my eyes to this disgusting part of what goes on in our country. I mean, this is something that really needs to get looked at. Yeah, there's, just my question. Here's a question about when I drive by that Kingdom Hall, because I have to drive by it maybe 2 or 3 times. If I go down to my parents' house, I'll drive by it, but I don't see, and I know that, just from the 2 boys that I met when I was in school, it was almost like they didn't dress like us. They didn't wear like, like kids that I grew up with, and even the underprivileged kids. These Jehovah Witness kids dressed worse than the underprivileged kids, and it was like, why? But then the parents had a nice car. You see all these, like, I mean, I drive by that the Kingdom Hall, and there's Mercedeses and freaking Caddies there, and it's weird. It's weird.
It's because they're supposed to project a status of good because God provides. So witnesses will work themselves to death, and then they will have like a nice suit and stuff for the Kingdom Hall and stuff, and then go door to door, and they'll take all their assets and they'll give it to the church, or they'll be using it to wear clothes or cars that kind of make people think that oh my gosh, I want to be like these people. They look so professional.
Right.
That's why they all look a certain way. They're wanting to project like a level, like they want to look professional is what they're trying to. Yeah. Because people don't pay, when you think that you're like a professional, they don't pay that much attention to what you're doing. They think, oh, you're telling the truth. Oh, you look like you're well off. You look like a good citizen. They're not seeing the evil that you're doing at your home.
Exactly. What looks more like a criminal? A guy that's wearing a pair of sweatpants and a Champion hoodie, or a guy in a freaking Men's Warehouse business suit? Yeah, who are you going to look at as a criminal? The guy in the Champion hoodie. Yeah, he's probably more spiritually connected to goodness than these. It's fucking gross, man.
Yeah. So you've let me talk, and so I want to give you. If you have any questions that you want me to answer, I will answer them. You can ask me anything. I won't. I'm just want to let you know. If you want to ask me, if there's something on your mind, Jeff, you want to ask me about witnesses, I'll tell you if I know the information.
I don't really have. You've pretty much. Right now, my mind is. I can't explain what my mind feels like right now. I'm going to tell you one more story, and then I'm going to stop.
All right. If that's okay with you?
Absolutely.
So the worst thing that the witnesses ever did to me, even worse than violating me and lying and beating me and everything else they've done, is when my daughter was 2 or 3 years old. The witnesses were trying to get at me for talking about this stuff because, I was saying bad things about the church and stuff and things they were doing. They wanted to punish me and they never could punish me. So they started punishing my parents by stealing money from them. Yeah. They actually had a place that was an auto shop, and the auto shop was owned by witnesses, right? The witnesses that were owning the auto shop were damaging my parents' car and then taking money, making them pay like over and over in car repairs, acting like they're doing them a favor. They stole $10,000 from my parents before I intervened. And then the reason why I ended up finally intervening is my mom was driving off to get onto the freeway, and the car completely seized instantly and locked up the engine. And she said that she would have been on the freeway, they would have been dead. Okay? I just lost it because I put up a lot of crap with my parents. And then when I found that out and knew what they were doing, because they did it to my brothers too, and my brothers called them out on it. I called my aunt. She got involved in it, and we said, "You're not taking it to there." We finally talked to my parents, fighting with them. We brought the truck, or the vehicle, not truck, brought the car to a mechanic shop that was my wife's friend. Okay. And he's a race car driver, and he's also a mechanic, him and his dad, right? They have their own shop.
Right.
He told me that car was rigged to do that. And I said, is there any way it could have been a mistake? And he said, absolutely not. He says, you should go to law enforcement right now.
That's almost
murder.
They
tried to kill your daughter.
Yeah.
They tried to kill your family members. He said they sabotaged the vehicle on purpose. He said it is impossible to do what they had done. And I told you, Jeff, I was so irate and angry. I went and told my mom, I said, I'm telling you right now, ever go there again and something happens to my daughter, I will absolutely kill them.
Yeah.
And my mom was like, and I said, I'll do it. I said, so that's a warning. I said, if you touch my family, I'm coming for you. And I haven't had anything to that extreme. The stealing my mail and the stupid stuff. Whenever they find out that I'm working with somebody or I talk to the police, because they monitor, somehow they're monitoring my phone. And I don't know if it's through I've been told by somebody that it's probably through my texts and emails that they're tracking this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But every time because I just recently talked to a detective about a case that we know now. 2 days later, one of my accounts was being hacked and they're pulling money out.
I hope they're
listening.
And I know they're doing it.
I know for a fact they're doing it.
I hope they're listening right now, because there's going to be at least 5,000 people that hear this. And that doesn't sound like a lot of people, but 5,000 people that don't know about it are going to hear about it. That's, that's insane. I, as a parent, how I could never,
Yeah. And then this is the thing is, though, I'm telling you stuff, right, just off the top of my head. The list of things that I can tell you is just ridiculous. There's so much of this stuff. So much. This is basically just the iceberg of the stuff that I'm telling your audience here.
Yeah.
There's so much more of this, too. This is just like a small tidbit of the psycho life that I lived.
Yeah. And it's mind-blowing. It is absolutely mind-blowing that you had to go through this, and not just you, but so many other children. I mean, we're talking tens of thousands of children go through this on a daily basis, and we don't know about it. And these poor kids they end up turning into what, they fall for the lie and turn into that elder and continue the cycle sometimes. Hopefully not, but sometimes.
Yeah, Jeff, I am very grateful that you're giving me the opportunity to help these children on your show. Like, I know your audience is, they're a more open group than most out there, because, obviously dealing with cryptids, it's just, to me, it's so weird how all this stuff about cryptids, and then here the Jehovah's Witnesses get involved in this. Like it's just so weird how that connected.
Yeah.
It freaks me out, honestly.
It really is. It's like in a person, because like I said, and you said it, we're open-minded. This channel is very open-minded. I've had a few people, like, when I do different things, they're like, it's a Dogman channel, but no, it's my channel, and it's my channel that if someone wants to talk and someone needs a platform to share something, they can share it. But when you were going through all of this and stuff like that, and you kept seeing these things and having these strange things happen to you, what automatically do you think? Because you are conditioned, oh my God, these are demons. These are demons to punish me for not thinking the right way, or this and that. And
basically, yeah, that was always in my thought process. And then the other part was, because I mean, I'm not a religious person.
Yeah.
So, like, there was always this part of me was like, okay, this is there's something I'm imagining this, like, that kind of thing. And now that I'm an adult and like I can look and I can analyze things, because I didn't have access to the internet when I was a kid.
Yeah.
You didn't have stuff like this. I'll be honest. For a long time, I thought, well, I just didn't want to think about it. I just thought, like maybe I imagined it, and then when I found out that this stuff was like, you know what? I mean, people didn't believe me about winning, and and everyone, like,
you're
on these days
you're
talking
cutting
about,
in and out real bad right now. Bo?
Yeah.
Can you were cutting in and out real bad for a few minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. Are you there? Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but you're cutting in and out real bad.
I don't know what to do.
There, that's good.
Sure.
That's good. That's good right there. Yeah. For literally like for honestly 1 to 2 minutes, it was like do.
Okay.
You'll hear it. You'll hear it.
So you asked me about like what I was thinking, and yes, I thought that it was like, are these demons, like, are they trying to mess with me because like the Jehovah thing, because like I'm talking bad about the church. I honestly did think that for a while as a kid, but about the 6th grade, when I was finding out, like the child abuse thing was really going on, and I realized that this church is just a bunch of liars.
Yeah.
I thought to myself for a long time that maybe I imagined these things, like maybe I was hallucinating, or something along those lines. And then when I became an adult and I started finding out that, my friends in the military have seen these and all these other people, and I was like, wait a minute, like, no, I did not imagine this.
Yeah,
but yeah, I'll be honest with you. I thought that originally it could be demons, and then the other thing I thought is it could have been in my imagination originally. It's really why I never talked about it that much, or hardly ever, until you came around, and I was like, oh my gosh, people see these things. I'm not crazy.
Yeah, I don't mean to cut you off, but we got about I want to, because we're about 107 minutes into this. I want to make sure that I'm able to put this up. I have two more questions, two more small, just real quick. When you said about Donald Trump Jr. buying their main Kingdom Hall, and you talked about...
Well, it's not a Kingdom Hall, it's their headquarters. He bought the headquarters building in New York.
And it was in New York. Do you know what building that is? Do you know, like, is there a way of... Because I'd like to see the blueprints. Or maybe, like, if, he has exposed these labyrinths underneath it. I'm going to look into that.
Yeah, if you look up Donald Trump's son purchasing Jehovah's Witness headquarters, there's him walking around, and I accidentally was watching something and then saw this, like, as a commercial or something. Okay. I don't even remember how I came across it. It was like a while ago, and then he mentions it. So you would have to find something. If you look up the Jehovah's Witness Bethel headquarters in New York,
yep.
That's what you would look for, and then you'll find it, and then look up Donald Trump's son, and then put the address and him together, and you should be able to pull up the video.
Okay.
It was a news station he said this to.
All right, cool. Last thing is a question, a favor to you, or a favor. I'm asking you a favor. I know you've got a lot of connections through things, and can you please, just reach out to somebody for me and find out what that door is for me, because I'd really like to. I've heard about it. I'm fascinated about that door. I want to see it. I don't know why. For some reason, I just
the person that talked about the door. I know who she is. I'll talk to her about it.
Girl, right?
Yeah, I'll ask her about it.
Okay.
And I'll tell you. I don't know. Because I remember asking her about it too, because I was thinking the connection between the Dogman stuff.
Yeah.
I had the same kind of idea. I just don't recall what she said about it. I forgot what it was.
And now we're mentioning Smurf Girl. That is her name. I don't know her real name, and I wouldn't give it anyway if I did, but that is her name on Reddit. And she, just like Bo, is exposing this cult, for what it is, for the atrocities that they have committed against hundreds and hundreds of little kids. And, just like Bo, I commend her. I can't even imagine how hard it was for you to go against something that you were raised in, and so many family members surrounding you. You have balls the size of basketball. And I commend you, and I encourage you, and I encourage everyone else to, look into this. It needs to stop. We need to be more aware of what's going on. If we can't get any truth out of anything, let's stop this. We got to put an end to this. So, and I'm talking to everybody out there now. Bo's part of the family. Bo's part of the Dogman family. We gotta help him. It's just something that we need to do. And once again, I commend you. I just thank you for bringing this to light for us. It needs to be. The public needs to be aware. Bo?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. So, is there anything that you'd like to say before we end the interview? And don't hang up, though, because I want to talk to you for a little bit after.
The only thing I want to say, I just want to stress again, just remember, for the audience here, witness children have no advocate. You are their advocate, and I don't want you guys to ever forget that. We have no advocate. You are our advocate, and we need your help.
That's right. Absolutely. Thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. Tonight's upload, it means a lot to me. And thank you. Really, thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate everything you've done.
Wow. Bo is one heck of a nice guy. I'm glad that I had the opportunity to meet him. I'm so thankful for this channel. It's really put me in touch with a lot of amazing people. So some people may be like, what's this have to do with cryptids? Well, it doesn't. But it was something that needed to be exposed, something that needed to be talked about, and he needed a platform. And I'm glad I was here for him. So with that, my friends, please be kind to each other, and may the Great Spirit watch over all of us, and may he guide us down that path we call life. Until tomorrow, my friends.